Hello, my name is Parker, and welcome to my channel if you are new here. If you haven't gotten the chance to up to this point, I do heavily suggest that you go check out any of the previous episodes of this series, as we are on day 12 of Echoes of the Past October. A month-long prompt event being run by none other than Typically Untypical. If you haven't gotten a chance to go check them out, I do suggest you go do so now, as they are an absolutely amazing author. In person, they're very friendly. Today's prompt is, am I walking towards something I should be running away from? Shirley Jackson, The Haunting of Hill House. There are some trigger warnings, so viewer discretion is advised, and without any further ado, this is A Dangerous Path by me. Logan was a smart man. He stood for everything scientific and logical. However, he knew some doors were better off closed than they were open. Janice and him had fought so hard to discover the reasons for the universe. Logan was thankful for his brother, his lab partner, and his best friend, all in one. It took them years of searching, but slowly they came across something. It had been years, 2 years since that day in which both Logan and Janice refused to talk about. They had done it. A scientific discovery that would have shaken the world to their very cores. However, neither was able to share it. A discovery that neither of them wanted to find, yet Logan needed to know more about the creatures he had mistakenly uncovered, even though he no longer wanted to know. He had to know. He sighed, opening the cupboard to a dark alleyway. The entrance was small, but the rest was much bigger. The creatures had yet to notice the open door, tearing something apart. There was blood splurting all over the walls of the alley. Hesitantly, he crawled through the cupboard, pulling the door shut behind him. There was darkness all around him, but much to Logan's surprise, there were light bulbs on light poles looking around. He was even more shocked. It was Orlando, but it wasn't. It was dark, and everything was black. There was a noise, and suddenly, around him, he was surrounded by a bunch of creatures. "Fuck!" someone shouted from behind him, sounding almost human. He must have been going crazy already, but he shrunk away from the creatures toward the voice, and a pair jumped in front of him. They weren't human. They made that much clearer as they glittered and glowed a shade of green and red. "Non alietum! Rebiscor! Melis!" one of them yelled, as the other spun a morning star and threw a sword to the speaker. They both swung at the creatures, and the creatures bowed their head and slunk away. The green one turned towards Logan, who was standing up to brush himself off. "Who are you?" the boy asked, in surprisingly good English. Logan gave him a meaningful look, as though trying to search if he was a friend or not. Logan had recognized the fact they were speaking in Latin, but wasn't quite sure what the person had been saying. "My name is Logan. I am a scientist," he answered cautiously. This seemed to confuse the person, who looked over to the other quickly. The one with the red glow walked closer, studying Logan as though he was an enemy. "We are Roman and Remus, fighters of the Forgotten Plains," he responded slowly, gesturing towards who was who. Logan looked around in confusion. "Forgotten Plains," he mumbled, but they didn't seem to catch his question. The red one, Roman, wrenched him completely off the ground and dragged him away. They moved quickly and efficiently, but none of them relaxed. The pairing had their weapons drawn and raised, and Logan was looking around, writing the small notepad that he had brought with him. They walked to the middle of the town to an all-too-familiar building, Logan's lab. He paused, but was dragged in by Roman, pulling him in. Nearly everything was the same, other than being of dark color, but there was something else. As Logan looked around, he couldn't find Janice's workstation anywhere. He looked cautiously at the pairing. "Logan and Janice," Remus said, his voice crumpled and small. Logan found himself slowly nodding, even though nothing made sense. They passed last summer," Roman finished, his voice quaking as he sat where Janice would sit when he rolled around the room. Virgil and Patton followed quickly. They mumbled in unison, looking down. Logan felt his entire body tense. He had noticed that they shared names with his friends, but this wasn't a coincidence. "I believe you may live in the opposites of my land," he exclaimed, his voice shaking slightly. Roman sighed with a nod. "Janice and Logan discovered the door you entered through," Remus stated with a staley, spitting the words as though they were acid. Looking at anything but them, he took the information in. His friends were dead in this world. "I believe it is time for me to return to my own reality," he murmured as he stood up. The pair watched him as he bolted past the door and back to the entrance, slinging it open so fast that the creatures did not have time to follow him. He moved completely through and slammed the cupboard closed behind him. He pushed his back against the cupboard and he heaved out a heavy breath and thought to himself, maybe, just maybe, he shouldn't be trudging such a dangerous path. I do hope you guys enjoyed today's episode. I will see you all tomorrow, and I hope you have a wonderful